The primary purpose of any government is the security of the lives and property of its people. And no nation will attain its full potential and achieve greatness until security is guaranteed. Hello and welcome to Standpoint. I am Precious Amayu. Nigeria and indeed Nigerians are writhing in pains over the level of insecurity in the land. Barely a day goes by without reports of attacks in different parts of the country. Since the attack on Kuje Correctional Center, where Boko Haram terrorists were freed, frequent attacks are now being recorded in the outskirts of Abuja, so close to the seat of power. The terrorists seem to have been emboldened by the successes of their criminal operations that they have threatened to kidnap the president. Angered by all this, minority caucus senators and House of Rep members have given President Muhammadu Buhari a 6-week ultimatum to end insecurity or face impeachment. Joining me now in the studio is a security consultant, retired Colonel Stan Lambo. Good to have you join us.
Thanks, Precious. Thanks.
We're also joined via Zoom by a politician and security consultant as well, Dr. Nicholas Felix. Good to have you join us.
Good to be here.
All right, so we are focusing on security and the impeachment threat of the National Assembly, because the House of Reps just joined the Senate to threaten the president with impeachment over in the national security. Let me start with Colonel Labo, who is with me here in the studio. People are wondering, especially with our security situation, as to why we are where we are. And I will get to that question with you, because I think you should know, having been in the army. But what do you make of the threat, as it is now called, of impeachment by the National Assembly Minority Caucus? I'm saying, look, if the president doesn't fix insecurity in 6 weeks, he will face impeachment.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for bringing me here. A good move by members of the House, but highly belated. Highly belated, because how many months has the president got to spend? Where have they been all this while the country was sinking? They were busy sleeping? Until 6 or 7 months to go, you are telling him, what are you telling him? The man could call your bluff. After all, he has spent his 8 years. The point I'm making is that, fine, it's a good initiative, but where have you guys been? That this doesn't come all along. 3 years from now, this is the warning you could have been giving him. 3 years back.
This threat was also made in 2020. This is not the first time they're threatening the president with impeachment move. They had done that in 2020, but nothing became of that threat. And so people are wondering if anything would happen with this threat. But when you look at the security situation, do you think that it is worth an impeachment move?
More than worth it. For Christ's sake, is it until the entire 200 million Nigerians are buried before we know we're in trouble? Are you aware of the statistics out there? Are you aware that on a monthly basis, over 1,000 Nigerians get buried? Are you aware of the releases coming out in terms of statistics from reputable organizations? Between January and now, we have buried well over 5,000 Nigerians. What are we waiting for? The president could have been impeached 3 years ago, for somebody who knows how to run the affairs to come in. We can't be toying with Nigeria. Nigeria is not Togo or Benin Republic. This is a country that is what? Nearly 12 countries in West Africa. Look at our population size. Look at the landmass. Look at our worth, our value. For Christ's sake.
Let me go to Dr. Felix Nicholas. When you look at exactly what's playing out now in the country and the recent threat by the National Assembly Minority Caucus, and you also look at the response coming from the presidential spokespersons, whether it is Garuba Shehu, Femi Adesina, or the Minister of Information himself, what do you make of it all?
Yes, thank you for having me, and I'm glad to join on this issue. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yes. I've been saying this even when campaigning, that the number one responsibility, not just in Nigeria or in Africa, all over the world, of any government, is to protect her citizens and her property. And currently, the situation is getting worse and worse. And I listened to the spokesperson. I was quite disappointed at his response. The Nigerians are dying. This is not the time to play politics. This is not the time to paint, trying to make the president or the administration look good. That's not what we should be doing. Right now, there should be an emergency situation where all our military personnel, our police officers, they should be working overtime to curb this. Coming out and saying this is just a bluff when it is obvious that Nigerians are dying, I found that very, very disappointing. Now, coming to the issue of impeachment, I'm wondering why they took so long. I'm in agreement with the Colonel with this. I'm wondering why they took so long. Is it because the issue now has got into Abuja, it's no longer safe for them? Is it because they have been in Abuja and Abuja seems to be safe and they really didn't care? Now that the bandits are coming to Abuja, now they're talking about impeachment. There should be 6 months, 6 weeks is way too far. Things should be going on right now. I heard the Senate are going on holiday. How in the world your house is on fire, your roof is on fire, you guys are going on holiday? There should be no holiday. They should be on board working to make sure that they curb this insecurity issue. It is sad that they waited this long before taking action.
Unfortunately, that was the reason they gave for the 6 weeks ultimatum, where some Nigerians wondered why 6 weeks, why not now, why not 2 weeks? And they said they had a recess, and people are wondering, the nation is going through this level of crisis, and you're going on recess. But let me ask you, because again, you campaigned under the APC, you ran for the presidential ticket under the APC. How would you rate your party in terms of how it has dealt with the security crisis and just generally governance in the last 7 years, as it were, or 7 years and 6 months, as it were?
Yes. Now, let me make it very categorically clear. I didn't join the APC to paint what is not working. We are the new face of APC. We're bringing something totally new to the party. I said it and I'll keep saying it. This administration could have done more than they did when it comes to security. I think the problem our leaders do have is the people that surround them. I don't really think these guys are giving the accurate report to the president or to our governors. You have people who come out and say the country is more safe, more secure. And when the president get this report and they hear these things, I don't think they'll be able to take the action they need to. Somebody needs to say it like it is, without trying to make the administration look good or without trying to let the president know that everything is fine. Nigerians are dying. The situation is getting worse. Is it until they kidnap the president or kidnap a governor before we know something is going on wrong in the country? There should be more they should be doing. The administration needs to do more. I will keep saying it. They need to do more. If I have the opportunity to meet with the president and speak to him one-on-one, I'll tell him very direct, Mr. President, there should be more that should be going on. Nobody should be going on break at this moment. Nobody should be going on recess. No, the military personnel and military generals, they should be working overtime. Nigerians should see that they're doing something to curb this insecurity problem. I'm afraid if they keep petting it like this, keep saying Nigeria is more safe, things are getting better, we have succeeded in defeating Boko Haram, now this is bandits, we're not going to get the solution. The people surrounding the president should tell the president what is going on. They should give the accurate report that things are getting worse by the day. So this is not time to be playing party. APC members are dying. PDP members are dying. Non-APC are not. This is about Nigeria. It's not just about party. They are not going around attacking those who belong to opposition party. They are killing Nigerians, and that's what we should be concerned about.
And let me ask, because he mentioned that the president might not be getting, Senator Colonel Lambo, that the president might not be getting the accurate representation of facts and situation on ground. But he was a former military officer, still the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. I'm very sure he follows the news. Does the president need to get do you think that the president is being misled in terms of accurate information on ground? And perhaps that's why he's not been able to take the right measure so far.
Well, I would agree with him. On the other hand, I would say it's not enough reasons. And I would say this. Very typical of Nigerians, those around authorities would always want to tell you what you want to hear. It is left for you as an individual who is on the seat to devise your own means of getting information here and there to ensure that you are doing the right thing. You cannot be a president and you just get seated in Abuja and think you only listen to your ministers and pamphlets. While growing up, if you make me a president today, I have akara sellers on my street in Kaduna whom I can call. Barka Alhaji ya make parwa. and they will give you details.
Translate that for us, for those who don't
Hello,
understand.
Alhaji, how are you? Akara seller or Goro seller or whatever. But people who grew up with us, these are people who took care of us while we were growing. Forget whatever I do.
And they're able to give you the accurate
and he'll be able to tell you,
on
he would
ground.
even, shout at you and tell you, why are you running this place like this? We thought you were a good boy when you were growing up. Then you say, "Me paru baba, what is wrong, Papa?" Then he now starts telling you, things are high. We cannot buy beans again in the market. This, that. You get full details from real Nigerians on the street. Not people who are pretending and trying to keep their jobs as ministers, trying to keep their job as farm sex. You talk to real Nigerians, real persons on the street, ordinary Nigerians. If he's telling me that while growing up, he does not have such people, then it's unfortunate. His background is not some...
And do you think that this plays to the statement made by some people that the president is quite insulated from Nigerians?
Completely insulated.
That he doesn't address, because now they're calling for him to address Nigerians on the security situation. That he's quite insulated, doesn't address Nigerians often, doesn't interact with Nigerians often to actually know exactly what's happening.
I am sorry to say my president is a disappointment to his citizens. This country has completely... Some of us have lost complete confidence on the president and even the administration. He does not talk to us. He does not address the citizens. Is it that he does not know what is happening and he doesn't know what to tell us, or what? Things are happening and you're flying out to go and deliver security speech somewhere, and your country is on fire, the state house is threatened. Jesus Christ. How come we got to where we are, for heaven's sake? How come?
All right, let me take this conversation to...
What is happening to us?
I will come back to you, because now let's enter the security situation itself. And let me start, because I know you're also a security consultant, Dr. Felix. How come this particular issue has defiled all efforts? Because that's what government says, that they are making efforts. We have spent billions, and not even naira, billions of dollars on this issue, and we are where we are. It seems to be getting worse. The bandits and terrorists seem to be they're emboldened by the day. What exactly is going on? Why are we not getting commensurate results?
Yeah, if I may start, I don't know what effort this has defied, because I don't see any effort that is being put here. We're talking about trained military personnel. Nigerian military are not cowards. They are not chicken military. These are men who were sent to Biafra, who were sent to Liberia to help curb the insecurity issues in Liberia. We're talking about men who are ready to put their life on the line. So I don't see any effort. The problem is they have not been funded well. They have not been given equipment. Every now and then, we look at videos like the one that just came out recently. You look at videos that military personnel record while in the battlefield, and you ask yourself, how in the world do you go to this battlefield with 2 trucks? You see open head Toyota Hilux with a little gun. What happened to airstrike? What happened to technology? Right now, there are drones you can send with unmanned drones to go and fight. So what happened to these things? So when you say effort, there's no effort that is being done. If you're telling me billions of dollars has been put into this, it clearly speaks that the people who are handling the resources, the funds, are not using it well. That's what it means. I don't see why this cannot be called. It is not just being maintained, it is going worse day by day. Let's look at the number of police officers we have. Let's look at the number of military personnel we have. How in the world do you have 370,000 police officers in a nation of over 200 million people? No, that's not the way it should be. Where are the military personnel? I mean, things should be going on right now, you know, in the battlefield. So there's no effort. This is not like this thing is too much and they have not been able to get the job done. That's not what we're seeing. They need to do more. If there's an emergency situation, you need to apply more effort. You need to push more. We cannot say effort, they have done their best. Now, what do? Allow them to kill all of us? Allow the nation to go into an institution? Is that when we rise? If we need to call help from other nations, why not we do it? If we need to call the UN to come and help us, they will. If we need to call our fellow African country, even America as a nation, they will come and assist. So if they are saying it's because it's too much, then call for help. Ukraine is going through battles, through war. What did nations do? Different nations were sending equipment, even though they did not send men on ground, but they were assisting with their weapons, giving them loans, giving them money. If that's what we need to do now, There's no shame in this. Let them reach out and curb the security situation in Nigeria. Abuja used to be one of the safest places. I announced to some of my people that I'm coming to Abuja. Everybody is telling me, don't come to Abuja. I said, where else do we go? Don't go to Lagos. Don't go to the north. Don't come to Abuja. Where do we do?
Right.
What do we do?
Let me
Stay
put you
out
on
of our
hold.
dear country?
Let me put you on hold. You're right about the fact that there is nowhere. There is nowhere right now that you are able to visit. People just say don't even go at all. That's just stay where you are. But let me bring in barrister. Let me bring in Monday Bani, who is a lawyer as well as a former second vice president, national vice president of the NBA. Good to have you join us, Monday Bani.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm sure you've been following the conversation so far, but let me talk to you about the impeachment angle because you are a lawyer. Talk to us about the legal angle of impeachment. I know that Section 1, I think is subsection 43 of the Constitution that talks about impeachment. Talk to us about that and then the politics of it as well.
Well, there is a provision for impeachment of the president or the vice governor and the deputy governor. It's a constitutional thing, and the Constitution says it must be grave allegation, grave misconduct, and whatever the House or the Senate considers as grave is what it is. Now, but for you to impeach a president or a governor is a process. And the moment you start it, you must comply with all the subsections within that constitution you have just cited. It starts with a petition by 1/3 of the members of the House. And then it is brought before the House, and there will be a resolution to set up a panel which will be headed by the chief judge of the state if it is at the state level. And I think at the federal, it will be the CJN that will set up that panel to look at those grave allegations that have been actually made against the sitting president. It is when that panel makes a finding, it is sent back to the House, and then they will now consider, and where 2/3 of the entire two houses, now two chambers, resolve that the president will be impeached, and that is it. The president stands impeached, and then the vice president will take over the responsibility of the president. So it's one of the measures that is actually inserted in the Constitution as an act of checks and balancing between the executive and the legislative, including the judiciary, because I mentioned that the CJ is the one that actually presides over the panel that look at those allegations. So it's the 10 arms that are involved in this. It's part of the checks and balances that is cited in our Constitution. But it's a laborious process.
Indeed, with different time frames for even as long as 3 months. There is a time frame for 3 months. There's a time frame for 7 weeks. It's a long process.
Exactly.
But let me ask you about gross misconduct, which is what the Constitution says. And that's the grounds where for anybody that has been impeached in a country, whether at the state level or the federal level, it's been really about gross misconduct, which is quite ambiguous and really vague. But when you look at the security situation in the country today and what the lawmakers are calling for, do you think that quite constitutes gross misconduct?
When you make election promises that you have been a retired general in the army and that you will secure lives and properties, and then when you take into cognizance that one of the fundamental duties of anyone that is in government is to protect life and property and ensure welfare of the citizens, if you have failed in that regard, that to me amounts to gross misconduct. But let me tell you this. The Constitution itself did not even define what amounts to gross misconduct. It is whatever the House members think amount to gross misconduct becomes that. So if the members of the House feel that the president has not actually performed his basic responsibility of protecting lives of citizens and properties in the country, it becomes whatever they determine it to be as a gross misconduct for which the president can be impeached. And so it is very flexible. As I said earlier, it is what the court cannot even, query. The court cannot even investigate the House whenever they say something amounts to gross misconduct. They can even say that they probably sleeping with a girlfriend of one of the members of the House amounts to a gross misconduct. And it becomes so the court cannot query them on that. But the only thing that the court always is mindful of when you start a process of impeachment, that you must comply with all the provisions of the Constitution with regards to what has been provided for. The moment you breach any of them, of course, the court will set aside that impeachment proceeding. So that it is what it is.
And I'll come back to you shortly, Barney, just to check more with these provisions and the chances that these lawmakers have. But let me come back to you, Colonel Labo. You listened to Dr. Nicholas earlier, where he was talking about the issues of security in the country, and he said that the military have not been funded. But a lot of people will say that's not true, because all of these billions of dollars we're talking about mostly have gone to the military. We hear that, we've seen the Super Tucanos, we've seen several equipment that have been bought for the military. But some people say that we have funded the military at the expense of the police, that the job that the military is now doing within the country is supposed to be that of the police. And so probably that's also some of the challenges that we have, because the police is not properly equipped and to do the job they should be doing.
In the first place, when a nation is at war, emphasis is laid on seeing how the war can be executed effectively. When we talk of war now, you are fighting an external aggressor. Good. Haven't taken care of defense requirements. Of course, those two basic ministries which we can never neglect, health and education. Those are the service areas, social service areas, sectors rather. I don't see how what we have so far spent on the military, to me, amounts to too much. The problem is we have not embarked on proper oversighting of how the monies so far allotted to the military is being spent. The House has,
whose responsibility is that?
Of course, the oversighting authorities also is the House Committee on Defense. Have they followed through, what we call follow through in the military? Have they followed through to see that releases actually are going to where they should go to? We know of the money spent on equipment, Tucanos, this, that, and so on. But like you will agree with me, corruption under this administration has grown beyond 100-fold, even though one of their major aim is to kill corruption. It's like they are fueling it. So even the military that was not as corrupt as it is today, when we were living, it wasn't. That's why some of us are still paupers. Today, I'm afraid, with what is happening all over the place. So there is the need for follow-up. And besides, like I keep talking about the big five, because the whole issue that is bringing about all these problems we have is just because we have not addressed certain issues that we are supposed to address. And of course, that has to do with the issue of funding, training, logistics and equipment, what's it called now? Welfare motivation. You mentioned it. A lot of these things are lacking. We have not expanded our training institutions to be able to ensure that we will bring in more people to meet up with the manpower deficits we have on ground. The belligerents we are fighting against are also a well-informed military side. Don't undermine them. They have always told you we are coming and they will come. Whatever they tell you they do, that they want to do, they'll do it. They've told you they are coming after your president. And if you take it with levity, sincerely, one day your president will be under their control.
He seemed to be fortified at the moment. But I just, before I go to Dr.
Where the Kuje prisoners not fortified?
I will go to Dr. Nicholas, but I just want to quickly, because you said something that I want to touch on.
Yes, please.
You talked about the military, the military where you served,
yes,
and the military now.
Yes.
That would suggest that you think that somehow the strength and morals of the military has depleted.
Motivation is down. Morale is not too high. All right? It's important to address all of these
morals,
issues.
and I didn't say morale, I said morals, in terms of character, that strength of character within the military.
I'm concerned with morale, the issue of character. But I'm concerned with morale. Your motivation to do the job, is the morale high amongst the men or morale is low? You are talking of morality. Yeah, in that case, it's character. I'm not addressing the character issue. Discipline can take care of that in the military. Okay? That can be taken care of. But the issue of morale is not by tapping you and saying, well done, that will enhance your morale. Certain things have got to be done. Your family must be well catered for, and so on. What you need, the inputs you need in the field must be there for you to do the job. Not when here you are, only 10 men are costing 300 enemy forces approaching you. Tell me how you want to face them. Because no manpower. Because monies have not been pushed into training to bring us additional strength and beef up the manpower. And this cuts across the entire national security sector. It's not just the military. The police suffers manpower, and so on. What stops Nigeria from having a 1 million man soldier?
In a nation of 200 million people.
Yes. What stops Nigeria from having a 1 million man police?
I'll come back to you on this issue, but we need to go on a break, Colonel Lambo. All right, let's take a break now. When the political standpoint returns, we'll have more on this conversation that seems to be the biggest issue in the country today. Stay with us. And thanks for staying with us. This is Political Standpoint. We are talking about the security crisis in the country and the impeachment threat made by the National Assembly Minority Caucus on the president and how that could play out. I'm still with Colonel Stan Lambo, retired Colonel Stan Lambo, in the studio. Also joining us via Zoom, we have also a security consultant and a politician, Dr. Felix Nicholas. We also have via Zoom as well a lawyer and a former national second vice president of the NBA, Monday Ubani. Let me go to Dr. Nicholas now. I don't know if you've been following statements by the governor of Kaduna State. And one of the statements he's made recently is the fact that, look, go to the forest and bomb this terrorist. He seems to think that that's the solution. But on the side of government, people are saying let's tread with caution because of the some of the kidnapped victims who might also be casualties when you do that. What's your thought on that?
Yes, I think the military generals, the commanders, they know the best way. But I think that must be one of the methods to be able to destroy these guys. The reason is men on boots on the ground cannot get this job done alone. They need to be carrying out airstrike on a weekly or monthly basis. Yes, there may be every now and then some casualties, but the people are being killed anyway. So we have to be able to attack them from the air, from the land, in order to be able to do this. If we wait for boots on the ground alone, I'm afraid it's going to take a while and it's going to get worse. So I think that's one of the methods they need to engage in. 24-hour surveillance. When these guys are coming to the town to kidnap people, they don't bring the the victims with them. They can strike from there. So we don't even need to wait until we go and meet them when they have the victims. There should be 24-hour surveillance. When they are alone, when they have less victims with them, they should be carrying out airstrike. The problem is we haven't done enough to threaten these guys. That's why we have the boldness to come and attack the convoy of the president, the commander-in-chief. I've never heard that before. It's an insult on the military. It's an insult on us as a nation. For bandits to have the guts, the M40, to even threaten the president, it's a slap on our face. And I think they should take this very, very serious.
Monday Ubani, do you think that because the Colonel Lambo earlier was saying that the oversight function, of course, is for the National Assembly. Do you think that the National Assembly should also take responsibility for some of this situation, especially now that the Minority Caucus is saying, look, they want to impeach the president? But some people say, look, you should also take some responsibility for where we are because you have the oversight function and you could have done something or said something earlier.
I agree entirely with that submission. It is in Nigeria you see a member of the House asking that what is this government doing? As a senator will be asking, what is the government doing with regards to some of the government policies? When you are a member of the House, you are an arm. There are three arms of government, especially in democracy. We have the executive, we have the legislative, and of course we have the judiciary. All of you are in government in order to give people what you call dividends of democracy. And so there must be that synergy, all for the sake of enthroning good governance. So if anything is not going right within the system, you find out whether you are doing what you are supposed to do yourself. They are the one that appropriate budgets. They are the one that must also track that those budgets that are appropriated are implemented. If you have budgeted several billions of dollars you have mentioned for security, what oversight function have you performed in order to ensure that that money was utilized for the purpose you have budgeted it for? If you don't do that, you are failing woefully in your responsibility. And so you cannot in any way exculpate yourself. You cannot remove yourself from the system and now begin to lay only a blame to only one arm of government, because all of you are both in government in order to provide what you call a dividend. So I believe that in budget tracing, I don't think they have done their responsibility. Several billions have been budgeted for the military. But where are the equipment? Why is it that some of our army who are in the war front are complaining of lack of equipment? They don't have the guns to fight these terrorists that have to be more sophisticated weapons when they confront them in the war front. So what has happened to the money provided? As you rightly pointed out, recently it was said by the military that they know where the terrorists are, they know where the bandits are, but they cannot bomb them because, according to them, they are holding in their custody some of Nigerian citizens. Can that be an excuse? So what you are saying is that there is nothing the security can do. Having noticed where they are, it's only in Nigeria you can say such a thing and get away with it. You can't say that in US. You can't say that in Britain. That you know where the criminals are, you know where they reside. But you now throw your hand up in the air and say, oh, we can't do anything because of so. What stops you from even limiting their movement to the place where you have located them? What stops you from doing more practical and more proactive measures in order to actually, get them out of the system, of the land? What are you doing? What are you saying? Are you saying that you are helpless? And if the military can make such a statement and dish it out to the public, then that means what are they asking us to do who are without any arm? So I think that everyone who is in this government shares tremendously in the blame for the failure of this government. The government has failed and has failed woefully in every parameter. They made promises, and look at those promises on economic. They have not been able to tackle the economic situation. Rather, the economic situation has become so bad that citizens are worse off. They made promise on issue of security. Today, you are alive and out. My own life, we are not safe. Why they have even decided to talk about impeachment, as my brother there has actually pointed out, is because this thing is now affecting them in Abuja. All along, he has been in the northeast and northwest, and of course in the southeast, where we're having some problem of security. What have they done in terms of ensuring that there is security of lives and property? Because their lives are affected, because they are being threatened. That's why you now see them talk about impeachment. And so I think that all of them share tremendously and generously also with the blame for the failure of this
Mr.
government.
Obani, when you look at the,
Yes.
the time frame of the provisions of the Constitution, even as long as 3 months, do you think that this is a wild goose chase, bearing in mind that the president has barely 6 months in office, and by the time all of this is done, if they get the signatures in the first place of about 156 lawmakers, which is 1/3, to even start the impeachment notice, by the time all of this is done, is about 3 months, 2 months for the president to leave office. So what people are asking, what's the point?
For effect, I think that particular notice of impeachment is to draw the president's attention to the grave situation we are presently. The possibility of success is completely nil. As I said, that there is requisite number of persons in the House you have to muster in order to impeach the president. And if you want to impeach a president, you must have a president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Rep that is actually compliant. I'm saying in terms of agreeing with you. Now, he is the one that presides over the House. And if he does not believe in the impeachment of the president, there's no way you can succeed, because you can't go and preside. Whatever he says, whatever he rules, even when you say yes, you can say that your yes is no. Even as a president who sits there, who presides over the House. And so I can never see the president of Nigeria, President Buhari, being impeached when we have Lawan as the Senate president. It's not possible. And you have Gbajabi Amin as the senator, as the Speaker of the House, or his deputy, who is even more Buhari, minded than any other person. So I am only seeing the advantage of that impeachment notice of drawing the president's attention that lives and properties are not safe, because it's like the president does not read papers. You hear that it is El-Rufai that pointed to him that there is a threat to abduct him and El-Rufai. The president didn't know about it. It was El-Rufai that pointed it out to him. He says so. And it's all over the news. So the president, I don't think, has idea of what is going on. He's not aware that people are dying every day. He's not even aware that the Abuja is under invasion. He's not even aware. And so I think that impeachment notice we get to his table, they will tell him that, look, there is a threat to impeach you. And he may ask why. And they will tell him that it's because of the security situation. I think for whatever effect, for whatever advantage or whatever relevance, that notice is, for whatever is worth, is just to put the president on notice. Not that they will succeed in the act, because they may not muster the requisite number of legislators that can impeach the president. And also taking into account the number of months, you mentioned that must be complied with. We're almost getting to 2023. And so we will soon be in election. In fact, by September, there will be campaign all over the country. And
some of them will be campaigning as well. So I'm sure by then everyone will be distracted. But
everyone will be distracted. Yeah.
Let me bring this conversation to Colonel Labo, because I don't know if it's a plus when people say the president is not aware. It almost sounds like a defense for the president, but I don't know if that is positive or negative when people say the president is not aware. But let me go back to the question I asked Dr. Nicholas Felix earlier about the statement made by Governor El-Rufai about bombing the forest. Do you think that that's the way to go? And then let me also ask you, just add this to it, issues around intelligence and how we manage it, because we heard over and over again that there was information about the Kuje correctional facility attack that they knew they had intelligence, but there was just not the will to do anything, and that came from the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aribishola, also buttressed by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps.
I'll take them one by one. Along the line, you keep letting me have them. The issue of bombing these guys in the forest, fear of collateral damages is not enough excuse for you not to carry out a piece of action. All you need to do is to weigh the costs. What is that item or human factor, so to speak, that is going to be a heavy cost on us? Weigh the costs against your national interest. If 10 civilians are to die for us to do away with 1,000 Boko Haram elements concentrated somewhere, well, let them pay the supreme price.
These are members of some people's families.
The soldiers dying in the field are members of people's families, if you say that. I've seen soldiers die right in front of me, even taking the bullet for me, pushing me off, only to take the bullets. Okay? We've done this in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and so on. So all this one you're saying is no story. If 10 human beings, may their souls rest in peace, have got to go for 1,000 Boko Haram individuals to go in the national interest, they bloody well go. And we'll bid them goodbye. And we know they died for our cause. And we respect them for dying for us. Do you understand me? You weigh the costs. As a commander, you weigh the costs. As a pilot flying out there and you come across it, you just weigh the costs, take your calculations, and take your action immediately. And you send your report back. Done it. What's it called? Your casualty rate on site, very low, civilians, this and that, and so on. And you are doing your reverse fallout, and you are back to your point. Your cameras have picked everything. What are we talking about? So if we keep going about these Ajebota excuses of collateral damages, we shall not be done with this war. Soldiers die in the field, in the national interest, laying down their lives for you and I here speaking Oyibo to be speaking our grammar while they have been buried. Are they not children of other people?
Absolutely.
So what are we talking about, my dear? So you weigh the cost. What was the next question, please?
Intelligence. How we manage intelligence?
Intelligence gets to Mr. President's table. My conclusion is that he doesn't read. I guess he's the type who does not read. I must be frank. And it's very common with a lot of big men in Nigeria. Nigerians don't read generally. All you need to do is to have the best of staff officers. You must know yourself as an individual. When you have very good staff officers around you, they articulate every information that comes on your table, bring them under what we call, what's it called, summary. This, oh my God, I've forgotten why. You bring them down under some form of, you summarize everything, okay? You summarize them for the president. A 3-page document can be summarized into half
bullet points.
That bullet point, and you bring it out. When you're passing newspapers to him, just underline the areas you want him to put his eyes on. Rankedere, these areas are very important for us, sir. You just make a small minute there. You pluck it. So once the man just picks it up, he goes there straight. He has no time reading the whole thing. Unless you fair to him, he has thousands of one documents to read. More so when he's not the type who even reads. So you reduce his job. And once he reads whatever his red pen says there, you pick it up, expand it, and send it to the relevant department as his directives. Every statement from a president must be interpreted into a directive, an order, and so on. If a president says, I am disappointed at what is happening here, I want to report on this, somebody immediately should have taken it down and know who he is directing that to. He might not be looking at anybody. I want to report on this. From who? Is it the National Security Advisor? Is it the DSS Director? Is it the... Somebody should do that. Immediately pass it to him. And if it's something that you think the president has to sign at the bottom to give it enough weight, Rankedere, we need a signature here, sir. What is that? We need an explanation from the NSA concerning this. Okay, right. And he signs. And it goes. You must have effective people around you working who want to work. Not all the dafters here around.
Well, I'm not sure that's the right word to call them.
Oh,
but
God.
Let's get to...
I withdraw it, but not all the...
Because we try to be very civil.
Ineffectiveness we see around. The docility we see around.
All right, but let me take this to Dr. Nicholas. Still talking about intelligence. Kodelabo has talked about intelligence at the presidential level, but let's talk about intelligence at the security level and how people have always talked about the interrelations between the security agencies, and that perhaps there is probably competition. Maybe that's why we're not seeing how intelligence is being managed for effectiveness.
I mean, when you look at the job of military personnel, you look at the job of police officers, the military personnel, they protect us from external enemy, which are the bandits we are dealing with. While when we're dealing with the police officers, they protect us from enemy within. At this point, there should be communication, intelligence going on between the military personnel and our police officers, be able to carry out information. And when that is not in place, we're going to have issues. I think it was the Minister of Defense. I heard him making a press statement, and I was just shaking my head like, wow. When he said, if the community had given an information that the convoy of the president is about to be attacked, maybe they would have averted it. I was so disappointed hearing that you're waiting for the citizens to, how will they even pass such information to you? Is it through an email or a phone call? How will they, pass such information? So you're waiting on us to give you information instead of you as the armed forces to give the citizens information. It tells you there's a disconnect somewhere. And let me quickly, if you permit me, when you talk about intelligence, don't forget the president is the commander-in-chief. And like I said, when you hear people like El-Rufai say he's the one who notified the president, he tells you the president is not getting the right information. I'm not saying this in defense of the president or trying to make him look good. It's just what it is. When his people come out, those who are working closely with him, and they come out on media and tell us the nation is safer than it is before, what do you think they're also telling the president? They're not telling us they're working on it. They're not telling us, yes, we know people are dying, but we're doing everything possible to cover it. They're telling us they have done their best and everything is fine. That's exactly what they're telling the president. Listen, it doesn't matter the intention of the president. It doesn't matter how good the president is or what he intends to do for the people. If the people around him, intentions are negative, if the people around him don't do likewise, there's nothing the president does that will be able to get to the people. So every president, like our president, must make sure you have the right amount of people who, with the right mindset, who will pass the exact information. I don't believe they will lose their job if they tell the president that the nation is not safe. If they tell the president that people are dying every day. If they tell the president the truth for the right action to be taken, I don't believe the president is going to fire them. But we have people who don't get the right information across. They tell you everything is fine, the nation is safe, Nigeria likes you, everything is moving on fine. And the president, this may sound like, a new generation thing. I think every president should be on social media, not just people managing your account for you. You should be able to go and feel the pulse of Nigerians. What is going on? Even if it's just few times every day, you look at the comment, what people are saying on social media. Social media is the new war. It's where people go and air their mind and, pour out their grievances. Apart from reading newspapers, apart from watching mainstream medias like this, you should be able to feel the pulse of the people. So you can be able to relate what my intelligence are telling me. Is it the same thing like what Nigerians are saying? So the president is not getting the right information. On this, he will not take the proper action. Same way, how is it in the world that the president, Abuja is under attack, the president is being threatened, and yet nobody told the president? It took El-Rufai to be the one to let the president know. It tells you they are not doing the job. By now, people should be getting fired in this administration. The president should be firing people for not doing their job. That's what I think it should be going on right now.
All right, let me go to Monday Obani. I know you've been wearing your legal hat. I just wanted to wear your analytical hat for just a few minutes. We are all focusing on the impeachment threat, but there was also a 6-week ultimatum given to the president to fix the situation. What do you think that this administration should be doing in the next 6 weeks to even, because I think the lawmakers have said that's the most important thing to them, the 6 weeks ultimatum, and the president should do something about that. What should be done in the next 6 weeks?
They need to be more proactive. And what I mean by more proactive, I think the president convened a security emergency meeting immediately, and that was yesterday or 2 days ago. And they came out assuring Nigerians that they're going to be more proactive and more practical. A situation where the seat of power is clearly under threat, and the bandits have the temerity to engage the military in Abuja, the seat of power. He has not gotten to this level before. And then we say we have the military. And when we talk about the military, we have the army, we have the Air Force, we have the Navy, we have the Nigerian police, and we have other paramilitary agencies in Nigeria. And these guys are being paid heavily and they are being armed. And then a certain certain number of criminals, who are not even Nigerians, want to take over the country, and they are there. I think something more practical needs to be done. More proactive measures have to be taken. If the president really feels that he has and he owes Nigerians responsibility of protecting their lives and property, I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, these bandits and criminals that are hovering around Abuja, elsewhere, and even threatening Lagos and other states, in the southwest, even the southeast, should be rooted out of the country. And I'm wondering why we allow, foreigners to have easy access, into our country and even also exit our country at will. What has happened to border control? Who are those in the border? What is the purpose of throwing the borders in the northern region? Nobody wants to say it. Are we afraid to say it? That foreigners come into the country and claim to be Nigerians, and they are not. And we have allowed it over the years. We allowed the Alambajeri system to, over the years, to come up, and you criticize and you say this is not right. They tell you that you have no right to tell them their way of living. Now, these Almajeris now became men, and then have become easy prey in the hands of criminals who are recruiting them to do what is going on in the north and now in Nigeria as a whole. Why must these people not be arrested and sent to school? All of them go to school. Let's begin to educate them. Let them also go to formal school, Western education, and not the kind of education that cannot make them relevant in the 21st century. They don't know about science and technology. What you teach them is only one religion, and that religion doesn't have any science and technology-backed knowledge. So what kind of, and we allow it. And that's why when they become frustrated that the system cannot even find employment for them because they can't fit in, they easily are recruited for criminal activity. So I'm saying any solution to Nigerians' problem has to be a holistic measure. Let us not depend only on one measure on buying arms and ammunition, which is also very important. Can we look at the socio-economic aspect? Can we look at the political aspect? Can we look at cultural aspect? Can we look at even economic aspect? And look at it holistically and then provide a more practical solution to the problem of this country.
All right, so
the problem in Nigeria are so many that
I'm sorry, I have to put you on hold because I have I think about a minute left, and I want to give the last word to Colonel Labo just to wrap up. Again, 6 weeks ultimatum from your experience as a military officer. What do you think can be done? Can we do much in the next 6 weeks?
We can't really achieve much, but all the same, something has got to be done. My good friend Obani has tried to, put across to us. We should also turn our attention to the non-kinetic activities, approach to the whole thing. And we'll begin to look at how much role poverty has played in the whole thing in the country. The country is seriously in a mess now. There's so much poverty spread all over the place. Okay, so we begin to see how most of our energetic youth army can now be engaged in some serious employment. How do we generate employment and bring down the level of unemployment in our society? Okay, how can we, if we cannot generate employment, how can we engage them in some vocational skills, acquisition of skills and so on? We should be opening centers like that will take most of these kids and engage their minds. Otherwise, I'm afraid they will turn to other things like you had him saying. Okay, those up north will start turning to other things, all sorts of things. We must engage this huge army of youths who, of course, constitute about 60% of our population and so on. Addressing that, there was one other issue that came up too. I wonder why till now we do not have what I would call a border patrol protection force constituted of special force elements. Okay, I have written so much on this. I've done a paper, I've done a discussion paper, passed it over to the top, to nearly every reasonable desk contour at the top. But I'm afraid the way we run Nigeria, even an acknowledgement later, we didn't get into the talk of we seeing how we can put these things together. Because our borders are too porous and the wrong elements are coming in.
All right. 30 seconds. I have 30 seconds. Dr. Nicholas, 6 weeks. What can be done in 30 seconds, please?
The president should move into action. There should be no military personnel sitting down in the barracks right now. Every one of them should be on the street, in the forest, no general should be at home with their family at this moment. They should all be in the forest and try to curb this. And to our House of Rep member and our senators who are planning impeachment and yet you're going on recession, it tells me they are playing. They think this is a joke. How is your house on fire and you're telling me you're going on recession? I'm sure that's why they will not be taken serious. And that's why somebody will come out and say they are bluffing, because you can't tell me the nation is on fire and yet you're taking off recessing.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. Interesting conversation, very critical for the times we're in. I wish we can continue, but the time is up. Thank you so much for talking to us, security consultant, retired Colonel Stan Labo. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks.
Also, politician and security consultant, Dr. Nicholas Felix. It was great to have you. And finally, the lawyer, the man who wore the legal hat, lawyer, and a former second national vice president of the NBA, Monday Obani. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Nigerians, for watching. You can catch a repeat at 11 p.m. tonight and 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. Thanks for watching. I am Precious Amai.